PODBEAN.com. Back after a crazy weekend of fights. I could not believe the outcome of these fights. And I told you guys from the start, I actually got 9 out of 11 right this weekend. So I'm very excited about that. And I talked with Sean from Combat Sports Nation the other day. You guys can find that video down below. So subscribe down below. I'm Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA, ProWrestlingAuthority.com. Wild weekend. We give you guys updates throughout the week, every week. The podcast is up on iTunes right now, so definitely subscribe to that. Just type Pro Wrestling Authority, and you will see it pop right up. So let's talk about Holm versus Shevchenko. Nobody saw this coming, and we were actually talking about this before the fight happened. As soon as they announced this fight, I was absolutely shocked because I couldn't believe she was taking another fight going up against, especially someone who's ranked 11th, who was ranked 11th at the time, and is definitely a dangerous striker, playing the same game that Holly plays, on the feet, striking. And she went in there this weekend and shocked the world. And if you missed it, definitely go and check the highlights out. What happened was the first round started off a little slow for Shevchenko, and Holm was, looking pretty good. Everyone was rooting for Holly, and I was kind of getting nervous. But Shevchenko warms up as she goes on. And what happened? We found ourselves in the second round. Out of 7 takedown attempts, Shevchenko landed 3 of them, and we really never seen that before. In the Miesha Tate fight, she was trying to bring Holly down a couple of times, but Shevchenko got dropped in the first, but came back strong and won the second, third, fourth, and fifth, which makes me really question if her last fight was 5 rounds in a main event. Would we have a different champion right now? Would we have somebody else in there? Because Holly Holm just lost her belt to Miesha Tate, and Miesha Tate now lost her belt to Amanda Nunes. And who was Amanda Nunes' last opponent? Oh, wait a second for you guys to tell me. It was Shevchenko, and she lost in unanimous decision. And Amanda Nunes said during the post-fight press conference, they announced this, because Shevchenko was calling her out during her post-fight speech, saying that I think Shevchenko needs a little more time to prove herself. Maybe she should go up and fight Juliana Pena. That's a great fight to put in there. So this makes me question about Ronda Rousey. And I really do miss her. And everyone's going to yell at me. Maybe not. Maybe you guys will agree with me. I miss her dominant performances. And when Ronda Rousey would come out, we all knew that we were in for a surprise. We all knew that we were going to be in for a treat. She brings a whole new level to the game. And even her walkout, I don't give a damn about my bad reputation. It's just badass. And of course, people are thinking maybe she just had a bad night when she was going in there against Holly Holm. So I don't know. What do you guys think about this? Make sure you guys find me on Twitter at evil_echo. That's EVIL_ECCO. Follow me on Facebook as well. You just like us on there. And every media that I do, whether it's videos, the podcast, my tweets, any Facebook posts, anything, it all goes right there on Facebook. So that's the mothership. And of course, ProWrestlingAuthority.com. Make sure you check that out because we guys keep you updated throughout the week, every week. And our podcast just dropped, guys. I want to mention that as well. On iTunes and PODBEAN.com. Just search Pro Wrestling Authority and we are right there. Every week, we just had a couple polls this week as well. I give you guys the weekly wrap-up, which is I'm going to do right now as well. So subscribe down below. You'll be updated and notified every time that there is a fight. Or not there's a fight. Well, yeah, I do the live updates when there's a fight. But you know what? Holly Holm was forced to play into Shevchenko's game here, and she had to move forward. And like I said at the beginning of the podcast, only 11% of people voted for Valentina, and that's off of UFC.com where I got that information. And that overhand right, we saw Joe Rogan at the beginning of the fight, as he was broadcasting, saying that Valentina was getting predictable and that Holly was going to pick up on it. But as we looked closer, we saw that it was Holly's feint that Valentina was sharp with, that she caught it every time. She would go in there with this feint left and then with the right, and Valentina was just every time. And of course, she got caught in the first round with it. But we see this with a lot of fighters that train, with Holly down there. Of course, perfect example of this, Carlos Condit. He does the feint and then walks forward, as he does it. And if you're a fighter, you can explain that a little better than I can. But, Valentina was ready for it. She was absolutely ready for it. And Holly had a lot to lose here going on in a fight against 11th ranked opponent, coming hot off of, one of the biggest fights of her life, going up against Ronda Rousey and getting all that media. She got a lot of media for that and a lot of expectations. So I'm starting to wonder, what's really going on. Here's Holly Holm's post-fight press speech. Hopefully we'll go right into it. Nope, it's going to be an advertisement for a second. So hold your horses for a second. Holly Holm, was very upset, and it was hard to see this in the post-fight press announcements. But she knows what she did wrong, and I'm excited to see her get back in there. And, of course, she's obviously anxious to get back in there. So good luck to Holly Holm. Here's her post-fight speech right here.
This is a very risky fight for you. It's a fight you wanted to take. Give us your thoughts about Valentina, what you thought about this fight coming in, and what, if anything, was surprising to you.
I knew she was a counterpuncher. We were ready for that. And, she's a tough girl. I knew that. And I know that she's kind of, she's newer into the UFC, as myself really, but I knew that I had my hands full with this fight. And when they offered it to me, I didn't want to act like I didn't want to take it. I knew it was a really big challenge. What can you do? I know it was a competitive fight. I know I could have done more. I'm disappointed in myself. And I take nothing away from her. She's very tough.
What was the strategy coming here? What did you expect from her?
We expected counter punches. We expected a tight clinch game, trips, which she did all that. And, we trained for it. I was taught all the right things. I always say I have no excuses. My coaches teach me everything. My performance was not right tonight.
Well, Holly, you're still one of the very best in the world, and I look forward to seeing you again inside the octagon. I know you will return better than ever. Holly Holm, ladies and gentlemen.
So that was her post-fight speech. And, I was really happy to hear that. Holly, very humble in defeat here. And now she's 0-2 since her last fight with Ronda Rousey. It's scary to think what's going to happen. She came into the UFC undefeated, worked her way up, fought Ronda Rousey, shocked the world. And now Valentina was kind of in the same position that Holly was in. Everyone was undermining Valentina Shevchenko coming into this fight. No one was talking about her at all. No one was giving her the time of day. And there's an amazing picture that was taken right before the fight started of Valentina Shevchenko, where she literally looks like Eminem from 8 Mile. Like Lose Yourself was playing in the background. Very, very cool photo. I wish I put it up on the other side. Here it is over there. But I wish I put it up, but I didn't. So you can catch that on my Twitter page. So just follow me on Twitter at evil_echo. And you guys are giving me some great suggestions for the show. I'm open to anything that you guys want. Any suggestion, any segment ideas, whatever. Of course, we have Tweet of the Week. We have quick news updates. We run polls this week. And I discussed this on the podcast, so I don't want to run over the same things. But, I asked you guys, and because this relates, about UFC 201, which of course is next weekend. So very excited about that as well. I asked you guys, I said, will ruthless Robbie Lawler defend his title against Tyron Woodley? And we all know that Tyron Woodley, when he fights, he comes out quick. We know that Robbie Lawler really shines in those later rounds, the championship rounds. And that's when the beast really comes out. So what do you guys think is going to happen? Tyron Woodley can easily go in there and finish the fight early. But I think Robbie Lawler is going to hold the belt in this one. Robbie Lawler is going to stay champion. He's going to defend the belt, take Woodley out. I don't think this fight's going to end early. I really don't. So 14% of you thought you'd see a new champion next weekend, and 86% of you are saying ruthless Robbie Lawler will remain champion. Of course, I started the show off and the podcast off with that Ring Around the Rosie. That is sick. And if you guys haven't seen that promo, check it out. And you don't know who Robbie Lawler is, man, it's a pay-per-view that you definitely want to buy. We're talking about somebody who came from behind. We never thought we would see Robbie Lawler as champion years back. And here he is now defending the title. Fight of the year last year, easily against Rory McDonald. Another fight of the year this year, in my opinion. We did another poll on that. We talked about that on the show as well. When he fought Carlos Condit, like January 2nd, to start the whole year off. It started off with a bang. They went all 5 rounds, and there's an epic photo at the end of that fight where both men are just hanging over the octagon. They went all out for that. So 86% of you are saying that Robbie Lawler is still going to remain the champion. So I'm excited about that. Congratulations to Valentina Shevchenko. I loved her post-fight speech as well. God, no one saw that coming. I'm very happy. And the Pure Evil Army, we did great with our picks as well. Shout out to Yusuf. He got 9 out of 11 right, and he was in the lead the entire fight. I had 6 fights right in a row. So for those of you guys who have been listening to my predictions and have been getting all this money, you know, I'm happy for you. I really am, because I called the Brock Lesnar fight. I called, you know, of course, in that the whole Mark Hunt thing, and now it's kind of not fair, but still he won that night. I called that. I called the Bisping fight, Cody No Love fight. What else did I call? The Struve fight. And we were talking about fight of the year, me and Ted Check. You know, Struve versus Bigfoot. That was an amazing fight. What do you guys think is the fight of the year so far? Me and Ted Check come every Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Live show. And this week we'll have Nick Newell on. And of course you guys know who Nick Newell is. He was the one-armed fighter. He was in World Series of Fighting. He just retired about 9 months ago. They're making a movie about him. So he's going to be coming on the show to talk with us about his upcoming movie and his life, the struggles that he's overcome. He's a perfect example of going out there and not listening to anyone that is telling you you can't do it. And of course, you guys can see some of his quotes down there. So looking forward to that. That's going to be this Wednesday at 10 p.m. The live chat room, of course, me and Ted Check. If you don't know who Ted Check is, I don't know where you've been, hiding under a rock, I guess, or maybe you've just never been on YouTube before. But Ted Check covers all MMA. So just type in Ted Check. He has like short little 3-minute, 2-minute videos every week and updates everyone. So here's Valentina Shevchenko's post-fight speech. I'm going to try to get into that right now. And hopefully there is no delay.
Very impressive performance against a former world champion in Holm. Give us your thoughts on the fight.
I was preparing for this fight very, very hard. I put all my heart, and I want to say thank you to my coach, Pavel Fedotov, to my sister, Antonina, to my manager, Roger Allen, Pedro Caballero, all gyms where I was prepared, Gracie Barra, Draculino, Houston Muay Thai, Etrefit, and Tiger Muay Thai in Thailand. I'm very excited for this fight, for this victory. It's very important in my career, and I want to say thank you to all my fans and friends from Peru, and of course to my brothers from Kyrgyzstan.
Valentina, you showed great patience in this fight, and you did a lot of countering. You made Holly lead and then countered her often. Was that part of your strategy coming into this fight?
My strategy was do everything what I know, to put all my heart, all my power, everything that I learned during more than 20 years in martial arts, and I did it today.
You certainly did. Now, your last fight against Amanda Nunes, who is now the UFC bantamweight champion, was an extremely close fight where you had won the 3rd round. Give us your thoughts about a potential rematch with the now current champion.
Amanda, she's a good fighter. She has good standing, good ground game. And of course, I want rematch for Nunes Amanda for the title belt.
Well, listen, this is the biggest victory of your UFC career. Congratulations. Very impressive. I look forward to seeing you again.
Muchas gracias a todos mis queridos amigos de Perú y de toda Latinoamérica. Los quiero mucho. Спасибо большое всем землякам с Кыргызстана.
And of course, guys, her sister will be fighting September 2nd at Foxwoods Casino right here in Connecticut. I don't know where you guys are listening to this. I know there's people all around the world that listen to the show, so shout out to everyone. But if you are from the East Coast, I highly recommend going to Lion Fight. It's coming up this September 2nd. Zarina Barz is going to be fighting Angela Whitley. That's going to be very exciting. And of course, we all know who Angela Barz is. She took out Cyborg. Yes, Cyborg, the Chris Cyborg. She took her out in Lion Fights. So that's going to be coming September 2nd to Foxwoods Casino. I just talked with Scott Kent, the CEO of Lion Fights. I talked to Angela Whitley. I talked to Amin Belafric. And I'm very excited about this. I was just there a couple weeks ago for their event. It's very exciting. I definitely recommend staying there for the night. There's so much to do after the fights. It's the perfect venue for an event. So it's not that much money, and it's so much fun. I highly recommend it. I brought my 75-year-old grandfather. I brought my little sister. We all had a blast. And the mall is so huge. Not the mall, the casino. It's so huge. There's so much to do. So, guys, also, if you're new to the show and you have no idea who I am, once again, I'm Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA, ProWrestlingAuthority.com, And on Twitter, I ask you guys for polls every week just to get your opinion on things in MMA media. And you know what? This is a perfect time for us to speak up. We have all the tools right here on Pure Evil MMA, talking with fighters, talking with everyone. People from Bloody Elbow we just had on, the Eddie Mercado, Ted Check, Sean Gilday from Combat Sport Nation. Anyway, we ask everyone's opinion, and you guys pulled in. I ask you if Chad Mendes' 2-year suspension was too harsh of a punishment this week. And of course, if you've been hiding under a rock, Chad Mendes has been suspended for 2 years now after failing his drug test. He said that he is going to take the punishment for it that he deserves. And this is very sad because now he's 31 years old. He's having a rough time. He had that fight against Jose Aldo where, he was having a really hard time, got the rematch, lost again. And then what happens? Oh, we're going to have him fight Conor McGregor. What happens there? He gets knocked out. Then, of course, Frankie Edgar knocked out in the first round. So Chad Mendes is having a tough time in there. So I asked Pure Evil Army, was this punishment too hard? 33% of you guys said, yes, 2 years is crazy. And 67% of you guys said, no, he deserves every day. And what I thought about this was, at first, I was just shocked to hear the news. And I was really upset that I wasn't going to be able to see Chad Mendes fight for 2 years. But Steve from Cage Side Submissions pointed this out to me, and he makes a great point. They really are making a statement with these guys. And if anyone out there now thinks that they can get away with this, and, all these fighters are getting banned for 2 years. John Bones just banned for 2 years. Brock Lesnar gets busted, but he probably doesn't care. Mark Hunt should get that money, and we'll get in that in a second. But they're making a statement of them. And if you want to get suspended for 2 years, then fine, go test 30. If you're not being careful, that's what's going to happen. So I'm happy that 86%, or not 86, what did you guys say? Where's the weekly poll? 67% of you said he deserves every day. And I have to agree. And that gets me into the Brock Lesnar news. Mark Hunt is saying at first he said he wants the entire $2.5 million that Brock Lesnar got for fighting. And now he's saying, I'll take half. And if he doesn't get at least half of this money, that he's going to walk out. He's going to leave the UFC. And it brings into question, should the UFC fighters start a union? Should there be a UFC fighters union? And they were talking about this last night on Cage Side Submissions as well. Jody Esquibel went on there. Girlfriend of Keith Jardine, the Dean of Mean. Of course, we saw her recently on Ultimate Fighter where that fight could have went either way. No. That fight was called wrong. I don't know. I got to rewatch the fight. When I was watching it, I thought it could have went either way. Then I rewatched it and I was like, how did they? What? So who knows? But she was on last night and she was talking about this. Should the fighters have a union? Should there be a fighters union? And my argument for this, me personally, saying I don't know if this is the right conversation for an MMA journalist to have, but I think Mark Hunt would be a great person to start this, or at least get half of that money. Because if we look at it, his last 3 opponents, which are Frank Mir, Brock Lesnar, and Bigfoot Silva, all 3 guys have tested dirty. And those were his last 3 opponents, and they have all tested dirty. This guy, Mark Hunt, is getting screwed, putting himself in danger and really tarnishing his record. He doesn't have the most impressive record when you look at it on paper. I forgot what it is now, but it's like 13-10, 13-11 or something now. And if you take those fights away that those fighters tested dirty for, he won against Frank Mir, and he won in the second fight against Bigfoot. But, there's so many fighters out there that lost to people who tested positive or, failed their drug test. So Mark Hunt's the perfect person to start something or at least get some of this money. What do you guys think? Let me know on Twitter at evil_echo. Like me on Facebook. Just go on Facebook. Here, I'll just bring in my computer to make it a little easier to show you guys what exactly you need to do. Bring you in my world real quick. So open up a fresh new search bar. Go to your Facebook. Wait for that to load up real quick. And you will find Pure Evil MMA right on here. Well, that's not it. That's my page. But all you got to do is type in Pure Evil MMA right here on the top. and this will pop up for you. Or you can just type in facebook.com/EvilEddieMMA. I just recommend going up here and just type in this in. And that will be simple. And of course, all the media, every post that I make on any social media website, anything I do, every podcast, every webisode here on YouTube, it is all conveniently right here on Facebook for you to find. Or you can go to ProWrestlingAuthority.com. There it is right there. Follow me on iTunes. Subscribe. It's the weekly podcast. We have a great time. And that's the Mothership. That is the Mothership show where all the Pure Evil Army meets. So thank you guys. We are one of the top ranked podcasts right now on there with our popularity bar. That is also posted on the Twitter page and Facebook. I am recently enrolled in one of a podcast competition. So I'll be making the link to vote to make our podcast #1. And I'll do some cool giveaways coming up. I just gave away a Hoist Gracie autograph, of course. That was a couple weeks ago. So what else is going on this week of MMA, guys? Besides Brock Lesnar, what do you think Mark Hunt should do? Should he get that money? Chad Mendes out for 2 years. What do you guys think about that? I asked you that. Valentina Shevchenko shocks the world. Bellator 159 this weekend. That was crazy. Darren Caldwell lost to underdog Baby Joe. Chael Sonnen talking about John Bones Jones saying the big spender will be back. So that was kind of cool to hear. And John Bones, unfortunately, he's out for 2 years now. And it just sucks because we just saw him return. And now he's back out. We didn't really see him reach what he was promoting against OSP. We really didn't see John Bones Jones at his best, in my opinion. Eddie Alvarez saying that he wants the winner of Conor McGregor versus Diaz 2. I think that's a great idea. That's perfect. And no one's really giving Eddie the respect that he really deserves here. I think he should have a parade. He should have a parade. He's the new champ out there in Philly. Why are they just making him pizzas with his name on it? I think, him and Diaz have beef from back at UFC 188. Backstage interview with Ariel Helwani. Diaz got into it with him and called Eddie a little bitch. Told him to man up and fight the real fighters. And, of course, we heard him say that against Conor McGregor. Chris Cyborg's calling out Ronda Rousey again. That fight has to happen. Listen, if you don't make that fight happen, you have to at least open up the 145-pound division for these girls. There's a lot of girls have been speaking up about it, and they're having a lot of trouble making 135. And we all know the girl fights are the best fights. They've been headlining some of the biggest cards lately. Look at UFC Fight Week. Joanna vs. Claudia, headline. UFC 200, the prelim headliner, headlined by women. The main event headlined by Miesha Tate and Amanda Nunes. The event last night, Holly Holm vs. Shevchenko, headlined. Come on, guys. Felice Herrig began the main card. Exciting fight. These girls are putting on amazing fights every single time. Why would you not want to open up the 145-pound division, especially when you have Chris Cyborg on the sidelines to be your champion? Is that not good enough of a reason? So Chris Cyborg is calling out Ronda Rousey, and of course, if they don't make that happen, open up the weight division. What do you guys think about this? What's the argument against that? I really don't see one. And of course, guys, the new Fight Valley movie with Holly Holm, Miesha Tate, Cyborg. It just came out this weekend. Persuasive Apparel, check them out. I'm going to be making t-shirts with them very soon for the Pure Evil Army. The Pure Evil MMA t-shirts are ready for pickup. I know I've been stalling the money situation, but I'm going to pick them up. My dad's helping me out with it, so I'm excited about that. So message me on Facebook or Twitter if you want to order them. I just ordered a 10-pack. We're going to be making more. So get the first generation of Pure Evil MMA t-shirts. And guys, UFC 201, we talked about at the beginning of this show. What Robbie Lawler needs to do is hold out in the beginning of that first round. We know Tyrone likes to start out fast. We're going to get into that and much more in the next episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Pure Evil MMA Podcast. I'm Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA, ProWrestlingAuthority.com. I had a great weekend with everybody. Of course, she shocked the world, guys. I called it 9 out of 10. The Pure Evil Army, shout out to Ann, shout out to Peter, Yusuf, Lady Jade, Mike, Christina, Monica. I hope you're all right out there. I know there's flash floods going on. Pure Evil Army, behave yourself, guys. I'm Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA. Subscribe below, like us on Facebook, and enjoy the podcast. I'm Yves Letty, and I'm out, guys. Enjoy your day.